making his debut here for PNC 2022. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, having a lot of fun so far, and the only thing that's disappointing is seeing Kailaris have so much fun. I mean, we can't have that. The UK is just doing too well right now.
Too good, too strong. 3 matches in though, and it could all change heading over to Miramar. We of course got match 4, match 5 over in our lovely sandy desert, and this is where we get to now see some of the teams that maybe struggled a little bit on Erangel, depending on the circle luck, their drop locations. Maybe it switches fortunes for them on Miramar.
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of times if you go back into PUBG history, when we switch maps, when we go between our 2 maps, yeah, things tend to get flipped a little bit. Teams that were struggling, or teams that just have a better feel for Miramar in general. I mean, in particular for me, coming from the PWS in the Asia region, China typically does really, really well on Miramar. So I'm always looking for them to kind of bounce back, to kind of find some of that groove, find some of that mojo that they've been able to carry throughout, PGC last year, PCS 6 Asia for control of. Now, in this case, they're not near the church because of the plane path, but they both have similar ideas on where they want to move to.
Yeah, and evidently we saw on Erangel there really wasn't that much contesting going on, if really at all. Mainly just cars, if anything. And obviously now going over to Miramar, we get a first look and see, do we have any of that early action going on? You mentioned obviously Turkey, Korea. Well, a bit of a long distance shot. That's just the staple of Miramar more than anything. But fortunately, nothing really to be had early on. I'm very much in the camp of I just want to see 16 teams alive past the first couple of minutes. I don't want to be seeing 15 matches last time around. But still,
that's true.
15 versus 3 matches. They get this.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Do the math.
And they've also got the new kill record for PUBG Nations Cup. It was 16 from Vietnam in 2019. And I believe they had about 17 in match 3.
I mean, unbelievable what they're doing. And, to go for that bridge camp like the desk was talking about, to kind of have the comfort to be able to go for those kind of moves. And it is really devastating when, all the other teams get kind of stuck on one side of the bridge. Korea didn't quite get the information, or at least if they did, they had to gamble because of the way that the circle had shifted early. And, then all of a sudden the UK just starts ripping teams apart, and then they get across the bridge and they're still fighting, and teams like Argentina and Chinese Taipei are scrambling to get into the circle, and they're fighting each other along the way, buying them time for their reses and these things like that they need to get really deep into that game. I mean, really so far into that game that I kept, turning over to Toby, who was sitting in the talent room with me, and going, how are they still there? Like, What is going on right now?
Finland 20 points through their first 3 matches. They've been thereabouts. They've had some good moments. Of course, a team many regard as a contender here for the PUBG Nations Cup 2022. And of course,
they're trying to set up these footholds to go in the directions they want.
Well, we get a bit of a glimpse of as well. It doesn't really give us too many answers overall. And obviously, San Martin's still in terms of a big POI. Other than that, though, you can see how many teams, of course, still 15 alive, 58 players. It's going to get to that point where we probably start to see teams encroaching upon the space of other teams to the east of Al Pozo. And I think actually Germany holding a lot of ground. You can see it now perfectly timed there on our screens. Maiko and Azar up to the north side, Soccer and then Payne. So really big hold of that sort of northwestern side of the circle for Germany. Now into phase 3. On to Brazil and a bit of Finland as well. It's been all rather central though so far here on Miramar match 4. Not a lot of shifting, not a lot of moving. Teams are just going to continue to slowly move in.
Unbelievably talented players individually.
And a tough position right now there for Norrens. You always want to sort of take those shots, but as soon as you do, you give away your possession. Crowd gets excited. Down onto Bud. Should better flush and finish him. He does. Norrens, the star player from Day Trade, able to get that kill. It does maybe just halt that momentum of the United Kingdom.
Well, it's a big moment here for Team Thailand, as they've got, the best team on the server right now in front of them. Meanwhile, Chinese Taipei trying to drive up a hill, taking a bit of damage from Finland and others, but I think they're relatively okay, actually. They should be able to kind of get where they want to go. The center of this sort of hilly mountain that's just north of Power Grid to the west of San Martin here.
Finland still praying for a bit of an northern shift up to their compound. Leo, Mount Rush both knocked down. Brazil just really finding form through the last couple of games. Of course, winning match number 3, the final game of Erangel today, and starting well here on Miramar, 10 seconds away from phase 4. I'm half expecting it to go south again and sort of play that northwestern side of Power Grid. We'll see if we get that shift play out for phase number 4. If it does, it'll be great for Brazil. It does roughly play out. It goes a little bit more towards the east than I thought, but for the most part, we get the circle we probably thought would happen.
Yeah, this is the expected shift because there's small pockets of unplayed space open. Meanwhile, Indonesia, one of those teams I was just talking about that was up on the north side, getting cut down between Japan and Finland. T-Bone still just trying to hide this out, trying to wait it out. Meanwhile, Japan has stolen a couple of those kills from Finland there, so able to find some good long-distance points. Now we are going to shift over to the west. This is really interesting. There's still a little bit of that quote-unquote unplayable terrain in there with an awful road in the middle.
Yeah, I also feel like we might go down to that awful road later on.
Yeah.
Grexy finds the kill onto T-Bone. Feels like Grexy's been a little bit quiet so far this tournament. That might be what gets him going. Xavier and Yan Li go out for Chinese Taipei. They're eliminated in 13th position. 40 players left alive, 12 teams just hitting the 20-minute mark now as H-Wing goes down to Silzen. Argentina and the United States continue this engagement. That smoke dissipating though. Shrimsy, does he find his kill right in front of him? No, it's Kickstart that goes down. We saw, by the way, Germany wiped out by Finland. Big points for them. Still 3 up for Argentina, 3 kills. Shrimsy surely goes down and does so. Well watched, well guarded by Silzen. They get the wipe onto the United States.
Yeah, Korea's been having a battle with Brazil over on this warehouse. They have Loki knocked, bleeding out rather deeply, so he might be going down, and Onyx taking a bit of damage as well. You do have Canada kind of on the other side of that hill. I think they're just playing the edge right now. It looks like they're not going to get involved in this fight from that distance, but you know, Korea here, they have enough time that they can wait this out, but obviously you'd like to just clear this edge as soon as possible to kind of give yourself more breathing room, give yourself more thinking time of getting ready for the next circle shift, which is pretty likely to leave your spot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with that one. Canada, a team that's also been a little bit slow at times. We saw them have some issues in the last game at Primorsk with China. They got away from that one. Aches left with the down onto Tiggleton. Talk about two big powerhouses in the PUBG scene.
That's got to make everyone tingle a little on the inside when they see that kill happen. Shinboy is going to finish Silzen off, so in the long run there, Argentina not able to hold on. And I like what Canada's doing here, sweeping their edges. And now they're in a perfect position. If a fight does brew between Korea and Brazil, which is very likely to, they're right there to third party and pick up some extra points.
Speaking of picking up points, Monty finds the kill onto Duck Mai of Vietnam. But you can see in the minimap just down below, and of course from the POV there of China pushing onto Australia's position. Those two countries have been absolutely going at it in the scrim. Australia usually coming out on top. They don't have Tickleton this time. Shots from behind though of Kian for Japan. So Australia, they are in the unfortunate position, Paper.
Yeah, this is now really, really tough because they're trying to get across this road, and they've got two teams on both sides of it hitting them from behind. So a grenade from Zipi Yan is going to get the knock here. Xiao Lu looking to go for one of his own. He kind of knows that there's somebody in that smoke. There has to be. So he's going to go for it. It's actually on the other side of the hill. I don't think anybody's home for that one. So going to come up a bit short. Now Japan has to keep pushing up and over this hill, and that's going to put them in the sight lines of China.
And Finland pushing in as well behind Japan. So it's going to get worse for them. So for both Japan and Australia, this is not a fight that is going to bode well for either team. Australia 5 kills this game, at least getting the job done there, but you do feel like their time being alive coming to an end. And China, they are looking like they're just starting to roar, Paper. They're just starting to find their feet here at the PUBG Nations Cup. 7 kills, but here come the Finns on the other side. It's Flood though with the nade onto Zipyan from the grave.
I mean, this is a little bit of an ambitious maneuver here from China. They're looking to kind of take some of the loot from the crates of the downed Australian team, and instead they're just getting absolutely hammered by Finland now. Korexi with that bolt, only Xiao Lu on his feet is going to be getting the res here on his Zipian, but Diggory looking for grenade range and will very quickly be in.
Nade range, you said, is in. Needs a good bounce. Gets it and surely gets the kill. Massive for Finland. China out in 6 plays. It's double-digit kills for the Finns, and they are climbing up the leaderboard as well.
I'm really surprised China opted to go all the way down that steep hill to go for that loot. They must have been really desperate for more smokes or something like that. So, you know, again, I would have expected the Chinese team to rotate back to the south and try to work through those hills, something they're very, very good at. But great job by Finland here, just being really patient, hitting these third-party fights right at the exact moment they needed to. Now, I talked about this battle earlier. Well, it never happened. Why? The circle never left it. So everybody could just kind of sit. Korea now in a weird position where they can't really start that fight with Brazil because of Canada's Overwatch.
And the beauty of, at least for the spectators here, Brazil, Finland, Korea, Vietnam, all still alive, trying to catch, of course, Australia and the United Kingdom above them. So it keeps this tournament close for, you know, as long as possible. That's what we like to have. That's what we like to see. 5 teams left here, of course, for match 4. 16 players alive. 24 minutes, though. We still got a bit of time. Phase 6 has got quite a long time to go. Still a lot of space. Obviously, you've got the warehouse as well, so you're not really going to be seeing Korea and Brazil going at it just yet. So sensing that sort of eye of the storm moment to close out match 4.
Yeah, and there's a couple big kind of canyons on the opposite side of where Shinboy's looking here, kind of around the Team Finland area, and they're pretty well situated in between the two of them. You have a little bit of hills here and there to work on the southern side of the road as well, so everybody has something to work with in this circle. Even Clories for Vietnam is still alive. We haven't talked about him too much because he's just chilling by the side of the road trying to stay hidden. And I tell you what, that guy, he is an X factor. He
Definitely.
is an absolute powerhouse.
And the other thing again, though, I mentioned it before, but Korea, they're not looking like an aggressive Korea right now. No kills this game, playing for that safe position, able to just bide their time, make sure they don't overstep their boundaries here and push into Brazil and cause a bit of a ruckus. They have done that pretty much through all 4 games now.
And this is really indicative of the way that Lash likes to call games. He's not the most aggressive shot caller in Korea by any stretch, but he's really smart. He knows the game so well. He knows the map so well. He's able to put the teams into places where they can do what they've done well so far this tournament, and that's play defense, play good PUBG, put themselves in spots where they can hit good shots, and that's what they've done so far. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how this goes. Even Loki's got a bolt going for himself, so the loot's been a little bit sparse for Korea, of course, because of the way the plane shift started. They had to drive all the way over to Chubasera. They got blocked by China for a little while. We're just going to center up right on these God compounds right outside of the warehouse.
Brazil, of course, winners of match 3. Can they be our first team to maybe go back-to-back already day 1? Why not make it done early? Canada, they need to cross the road. They're probably in the worst position out of all of the remaining 5 teams here. I don't think, obviously, Clories for Vietnam is going to be in much of a better position either, though. But obviously, for the teams that have gone, their players still intact. They've got all 4. It kind of feels like it's just go time for Canada. Send it into the God buildings and see what can happen, really.
Yeah, you got to make a play for something here as Canada. You'd like to wait for another fight to start to try to take advantage of the chaos or try to find a third party to hit, but nobody's really going to give you that opportunity right away. And the way that Korea is able to maneuver right now is they're kind of scooching around to the north side of this compound. Let's see what this crash is going to look like. I'm really curious to see where they want to go.
Yeah, smoke's thrown early. That should hopefully mean that they can get down the hill relatively intact. Not the best landing, though, and they lose Finna rather quickly. A chance for both Brazil and Korea to find some kills onto Canada. Only the down and now elimination onto Finna. The other 3 at least make it to the front line, and this now forces Korea into action.
Yeah, they're going to have to defend this side of the hill. Lash and Seoul really can't allow any further aggression over to the western side of all of this. If they can keep them blocked in, if they can keep them underneath the warehouse side here, they should be fine. Now, Adam, there's enough of a dip here that he's dodging quite a bit of this grenade damage, plus he's able to go prone inside of it, which helps reduce that damage as well. So Seoul got one more grenade here. Let's see if he can find anything with it.
And obviously Brazil probably not wanting to push out of that concrete building just yet. That means Finland have actually been able to make their way down. Clories as well, the solo player, is starting to make his way over. So this stalemate really between Korea and Canada has probably benefited everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this has given everyone else in the circle an opportunity to set up shop, to get some information, to push positions. I think Clory's still stuck where he's at. He's right on the edge of the circle, and I think Sparking is finally, spotted him out and is just waiting for him to have to move. But Korea has to move into the warehouse because they weren't able to find any kills. They weren't able to do any damage to Canada, so it's kind of the backup plan here for them to just sort of fill in.
Yeah, I think they got the first one onto Finna, obviously, when they did push down Canada, that initial entry. But after that, the other 3 players for Canada still up, still there. And, this is where they can do some damage themselves, throwing these nades into the warehouses. In fairness, it's a big warehouse, right? So it is very difficult to predict where they are. Little do Canada know, they're landing these onto Loki, but he just stays alive.
Well, look at what Soul's doing. He's proning on top of this metal roof tile that's like laid out in the middle. Yeah, I've never seen anyone do that, but here comes Finland.
Yeah, coming in from behind. Of course, they were on the hill. Now they actually make their way in on the backside of the warehouse. It's Inonix that gets caught, and maybe all this defense from Korea might be catching up to them as Clories is taking shot to solo for Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, Clories doesn't have much else to work with, only 3 smokes. That's probably not going to get him close enough to that God compound to do much, so might as well go for some shots. A grenade from Page hits 2 onto Korea.
The backside is the thorn in the side of Korea. They lose 2. They might lose all of their players. Only Loki and Seoul, I believe, still up for Korea, and they've still got Canada to contend with. Adam pushes in. Quick headshot down onto Seoul. Only the 1 kill so far. The DBS is out, but Korea is 2. 6 kills for Canada have done really well in this scenario. Clories makes it into the top 4 for Vietnam. They'll benefit the placement points for this.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of space to maneuver inside of those warehouses. They're very open. There's a lot of angles, as we saw with teams able to throw grenades inside of them, so Korea never felt comfortable enough to get proactive against Canada or anybody else, or Brazil earlier on, so they're going to pay the price for it. That's the problem with playing a defensive style like that, is the longer it goes on, the worse it gets for you, because more and more teams are going to have eyes on you.
The journey of Glories begins. Does he find an avenue out? I don't think so. Finland have obviously got an eye on him. Adam, Shimboy, the duo that was remaining for Canada, taken out by Sparking and VHC for Brazil. It's seemingly coming down to a Finland versus Brazil final battle here on Miramar Match 4. Brazil looking for 2 chicken dinners in a row, looking for that second place on the standings and looking to catch the United Kingdom in first. 7 kills for Brazil. Now the final standoff between Finland and Brazil.
Yeah, Finland's got a slightly better position, but Brazil has the numbers, and they've probably got the utility since they've been able to sit in this compound for quite some time. So let's see what they're going to do. I like the way the Finns are maneuvering along this hillside, fanning out, trying to cover all the angles. But Brazil making a nice counter move here, trying to find the angle to cut down the edge of that hill so they could basically see most of the Finnish players and line up some easy shots.
LFP1 does have a smoke in hand. Haven has 2, so Brazil do, and they've got the crate for cover as well. I think Page is maybe closest to center of the circle, but they're going to need a lot of smokes. And obviously there are some that are already out, but those will start to dissipate rather quickly. 2 minutes until Phase 9 comes to a closure. 19 kills between these two teams. It's been a farming of the lobby for both Brazil and Finland. But one more team left to be farmed. Who's it going to be?
It's going to be tough. I mean, VHC just got the level 3 armor as well, the helmet and the vest out of that crate, so he's sitting really pretty for Brazil to really hold down that flank, be an anchor for his team, be a tank. But what a grenade from Correx. He's going to get open. That's another knock for Page.
2 versus 3. LFP1 Sparking for Brazil. Still up. Not a bad position either, but Page has the best position to continue to lay down the law of Finland. It's only one less standing for Brazil. LFP1 is the one, but unfortunately he too falls to the book of Page. It's Finland for match 4.
Oh, just fantastic maneuvering around the map. I mean, think about, again, we've been crediting the way that the UK's been playing this tournament so far. Finland taking a page out of their book, being so active early on in this, moving from side to side. I mean, rotating all the way from the east, back over to the west, finding kills all along the way. This is the kind of PUBG you want to see if you're going to win this event.
That's the kind of PUBG I think many expected out of Finland. It's why they were considered one of the contenders for the